Hello, my name is Wesley Moldogo, and I will be addressing the topic of legalizing prostitution within the United States. With the U.S. in trillions and trillions of dollars in debt, many Americans have creatively been scheming a way out of this problem, legally that is. How to make money consistently over time while we spend more money as a country is probably the golden question. One person over there might say taxes, and sure, why not? The government could do the obvious thing and tax gas and other necessities that we use in everyday life, but that would cause civil unrest and complaints within our broken down economy. Who wants to pay more for the things we need, right? Or should we try a different approach to making money? Maybe legalizing marijuana and taxing that, or decreasing the age limit of drinking to 13 so more minors can buy more alcohol legally and freely. Doing both things would bring recklessness and havoc into our society without a doubt for obvious reasons. So then here comes the bright idea, let's legalize prostitution. Wow, selling something of the flesh. Scandalous indeed. But could this possibly work? Could legalizing prostitution, with the right age restrictions and sterile work environments, swiftly and calmly stimulate our economy enough to get us out of the trillions of dollars of debt we have? And before I even address my opinion and go on with this issue, I'm going to lay down a few key terms that I want defined right now, because when I define it, or when I refer to it, later on within this speech, many people in the audience, or you, may even have a different perception of what that word means. So I want to make sure we have, these words, we're on the same page about this, basically. And I'll start off with the word prostitution. My definition of prostitution is the act of offering of oneself for hire to engage in sexual relations. That's certain right there. Economy. To me, economy means thrifty and efficient use of material resources, expenses, or a system of interaction and exchange. So our American economy, for that matter. Debt, I define it as a state of owing, and legalization, to make lawful or to confirm or validate. Restrictions, to keep within our limits of space, action, choice, or quantity. Stimulating means to excite or spur on, so stimulating our economy. Think about that. Brothel, a house of prostitution, for that matter, where men or women go to and pay to have sexual intercourse with the prostitutes in the brothel. Human trafficking, there's so many definitions for it. I found the best one to be on Urban Dictionary, out of all the places, and the Urban Dictionary defines human trafficking as trafficking in persons shall mean recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of persons by means of threat or use of other forms of coercion, abduction, fraud, or deception, of the abuse of power in the person of the position of vulnerability. Sex trafficking has a very similar definition, but a little more specific. Any form or laborship in relation to selling intercourse. Sex work can either voluntarily or be forced. So that keywords underline, it can either be voluntary or forced. All right. I also want to define pornography. Pornography means first movies, pictures, magazines, etc. that show or describe naked people having sex or masturbating in a very open and direct way to cause sexual arousement. Right. So those are the terms. It's all out on the table. So we're on the same page. And now that we have that out of the way, I want to get back to the argument that prostitution should remain illegal in the U.S. And I want to call the end for prostitution in Nevada. So let's get started. In 1 John 2:10, it states that whoever loves his brother abides in light, and in him there is no cause for stumbling. As a Christian, we have a responsibility to our brothers and sisters to keep them from stumbling. And having this law of legalized prostitution clearly permits them to commit such sexually perverted and crude acts without worry for consequence. It's almost as if we are encouraging them to stumble. Why would we do that? Why are we encouraging this kind of behavior within our society? Even if a person is not a Christian, that person has to have some sort of set morals and values that ask, do we want to raise our kids in a society that allows legal prostitution? With our divorce rates well over 50% in our country today, the fact that a man or woman can buy sex legally with no strings attached will only encourage infidelity within their marriage and raise divorce rates. People already have enough problems with pornography already. Imagine what this would do. Do we really want to encourage this? At this rate, the institution of marriage will be going down the drain. Sure, one might say that they practice prostitution illegally already, so why not capitalize on their immoral values and immoral acts? That's like saying that since we have drug dealings already all over in the US, why not legalize it? This is absolutely wrong. Legalizing it only encourages it, and when something addictable gets into market, it gets abused. Even if there was an age ban on it, would it help? When something is illegal, even with an age limit, it's like saying, hey kids, when you turn this age, you can do so and so. How many kids do you see getting in trouble for underage drinking? How many kids do you see getting in trouble for doing drugs, legally and illegally? How many, kids do you see getting in trouble for watching pornography while you're under the age of 18 or 21, depending on what state? That's troubling. And if that isn't troubling enough, think how many hormonal adolescent teenagers will be tempted to have underage economic transactions of money for sex once prostitution is legalized. Legalizing only, like I said, not just encourages it, but it also gives a loud shout out in our society saying that it's socially acceptable. And growing up as a teenager, finding out what things are socially acceptable, it just screams out, let's try it. And that's not okay. Definitely not okay. Okay, let's just say there's an age limit on prostitution too. How many 21-year-old guys, single guys I might add, will flock to the nearest brothel on their 21st birthday? People do that on their 21st birthday to go drinking anyway. So how many 21-year-old guys will flock to the nearest brothel on their 21st birthday, assuming that that's going to be the age limit? Women, women in high school, girls in high school already dance like strippers at high school dances, and go to college, go to the clubs, they dance freaky, scandalous. Can you imagine how low-income girls and women, because that type of dancing is socially acceptable in our culture today? How many low-income girls and women would line up to sell their bodies if this type of act is encouraged? Our nation will be filled with prostitutes, and my guess is that it will be an in-demand profession, much like healthcare. Why? Because, like many people that argue against my position say, sex is in demand. And because sex is in demand, people are going to want it. And according to FamilySafeMedia.com, and they're right, people want it. Every second, 28,258 internet users are viewing some type of pornography. Every second, 372 internet users are typing adult search terms in the search engines. And every 39 minutes, a new pornography type related video is being created in the United States. The millions and billions of pornographic views only indicates that this and is literally allowing people to live out their sexual fantasies. Living out your sexual fantasies. These sexual fantasies are unhealthy and not good for one's view on sex, whether you be a Christian or not. Knowing the demand for sex, the demand for prostitution would be steep and high. It will be much like today's growing medical field. It's good pay, always in demand, and it's fun, quote unquote. Can you imagine the commercials for vocational training to become a prostitute on your TV? Absolutely ridiculous. Our nation will end up much like the city of Corinth within the Bible. We need to take a good stand as Christians. And even if you're not a Christian, think about the consequences of legalizing prostitution and what that could bring. Sure, we may climb out of the hole of debt of our nation a lot faster, but is it worth trading our dignity and values? Think about that. So people for legalizing prostitution might argue and point at places where prostitution is legal. Prostitution is illegal in 49 states except one, that one state being Nevada. These brothels are usually in remote counties in Nevada, not the major cities like Reno or Las Vegas. And in a recent study in 2011, the effect of brothels had on Nevada's economy, and this study was backed up by one of Nevada's senators, Senator Harry Reid. This study showed that legal prostitution, which occurs only within highly regulated brothels, regulated I might add, is not a big contributor to Nevada's economy one way or another, despite the outsized attention it gets. So it's getting all this attention just because it's scandalous enough to have a brothel being legal in your state. It's not helping. It's not helping Nevada at all. It's not helping Nevada with their debt. They're still in debt. You don't see lines and lines for brothels, in Nevada. And I mean, this is a huge deal because it could be served as a model to predict that legalized prostitution wouldn't do so well to solve our nation debts if legalized. To think that legalizing prostitution would solve the problem of illegal prostitution as well is completely absurd as well. Despite prostitution being legal in Nevada, there are still thousands of illegal prostitutes working in Las Vegas as escorts, working in massage parlors, etc., making millions under the table and tax-free. And this is all according to Senator Reid. In regards to prostitution being legal in other countries, prostitution is legal and regulated in 22 countries. The majority of these countries that prostitution is legalized in are either a periphery or a semi-periphery country, which means that they're either second or third world countries. The U.S. and other major countries, they're core countries. Just an FYI. And because they're legal in these periphery and semi-periphery countries, probably suggests that prostitution is legal only because that there aren't really any other jobs to make a living off of. So, I mean, what else are you going to do in a ridiculous recession? Yeah. And also these 22 countries, which prostitution is legal, 17 of them have the highest rates of importing and exporting sex trafficking victims of both men, women, and boys and girls. Disgusting. People are also in the illusion that legalizing prostitution would end any and all, sex and human trafficking in the U.S., which is totally wrong. Medical marijuana is legal, but because it's regulated very strictly, like prostitution in Nevada, people just want easier access to it without all the rules and regulations. They want the prostitution without all the expensive health checks, without all the taxes taken out, and without the age bar, both to the prostitute and to the person buying. And so this can be a very huge problem as well. We'd probably spend more money trying to regulate prostitution than to keep it illegal. Alright? And so, all in all, the idea that we can make enough money off prostitution and our nation's economic status is an overrated assumption that was not well thought out. There's no easy bailout to our economic troubles, and legalizing prostitution is definitely not the answer. I'm Wesley Moldogo. Thank you for listening, and yeah, God bless.